The story of the highly popular executive who's overseen the city's park system since 2000.
But since 2005, he's also had a second job some say could be a conflict of interest. The I-Team's Hagit Lamor joins us with both sides of that argument. Hagit?
Well, what some call a conflict of interest, Willie Cardin calls a good deal for the taxpayers. Like every city department, the parks face budget challenges. Cardin says he's figured out a way to get more for our tax dollars. But some say his solution raises questions under Ohio ethics laws.
It's unbelievable the support that we've received from the citizens of Cincinnati.
Willie Cardin sounds like part cheerleader.
We're able to bring a dream, bring a game changer to Cincinnati.
Part minister, preaching the gospel of green.
This is really the regional park of Southwest Ohio.
You don't get excited about Cincinnati parks, do you?
Just a little bit.
He's served as Cincinnati's parks director more than a decade.
We have Ted Berry Park,
overseeing a $4 million annual budget. But $4 million doesn't go far when it comes to the extras taxpayers want.
I have a butterfly!
Like the annual butterfly show at Crone Conservatory. The restoration of Cincinnati's identifying landmark fountain in 1999. This beautiful artwork at Ted Berry Plaza. And the newest crown jewel,
the Cincinnati Riverfront Park.
Cardin says all those projects have depended heavily on private dollars through the Cincinnati Parks Foundation. It's a 501c3 charity. Donors like Macy's, Humana, UDF, and Time Warner get tax breaks for their dollars to benefit our parks.
It helps the tax coffers because we're able to do things that we don't have tax money for.
You'd expect Cardin to be thankful to a private foundation helping his public department, but he has extra reason to cheerlead both. Cardin wears two hats. He's director of the Parks Department and executive director of the Parks Foundation. One is beholden to the public, the other isn't. One is subject to open records laws, the other isn't. And that's where Ohio ethics laws come into play.
You shouldn't have a situation where you're mixing public funds and public assets with private funds and private assets.
Former council member Jeff Birding says the dual roles smell funny to him.
It doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right.
Where somebody's in dual roles, where they're a public employee, but they're also an official or the director of a private foundation. And that's where conflict of interest comes in under ethics statutes.
Dave Friel ran the Ohio Ethics Commission and now teaches business ethics at Ohio State. He says he can't speak about this specific case, but in general terms,
you're either working for the public or you're working for somebody else. You can't do the same thing for both in a leadership role.
Friel says an executive for a foundation has fiduciary duties that could conflict with his public role.
You get back to this question of who is in control of the public official or employee. Is it the city? Or is it some third party? Is it a foundation or is it a private business?
Oh, they definitely overlap.
Cardin says to him, the synergy of the two roles makes sense.
With me being both the director of parks and the executive director of the foundation, I am the master salesperson. Nobody should know my system better than me or my team.
You don't see it as any conflict for you?
No. No, I don't.
The Ohio Ethics Commission has ruled about public officials also serving on such boards, saying it's okay as long as they're doing it as part of their public jobs and not getting paid extra.
I am the volunteer executive director.
3 times during our interview.
So I volunteer as the executive director.
Cardin described his foundation role.
When I volunteer and work as the executive director.
Now, you said a little earlier that you volunteer with the foundation. Is it purely volunteer or is it a paid position?
It's purely volunteer.
You don't get paid by the foundation?
I don't get paid by the foundation when you say payment by the foundation, like every week a check or something like that. No.
Perhaps not every week, but tax records the foundation files every year show Cardin does get paid. $15,000 in 2006, $20,000 in 2007, 2008, and 2009, the last year we found on file. On top of more than $138,000 tax dollars for his city job.
But that's not a payment. That's an end of the year stipend. The foundation trustees came to me and said, you know what, you do a tremendous job and we want to give you something. And I'm like, well, you don't have to give me anything. No, this is what we want to give you.
That's mumbo jumbo. I mean, come on. People are smarter than that. But you know, it's that kind of weasel words that drive people crazy.
If anyone says, gee, that $20,000 looks like pay, not a bonus, what would you say?
It's not. If we had to go out and pay an executive director for what I do, it would be 6 figures.
It's common sense that if I'm being paid to do my public role by somebody else other than the public, I'm going to have a conflict of interest. I'm going to have a divided loyalty to the public and taxpayers.
My opinion is I am accountable to the citizens.
Cardin says, if anything, the fundraising he's done is a deal for the taxpayers.
If you look at a $20,000 stipend, at the end of the day, if this is the gold at the end of the rainbow for what we've been able to leverage, $30 to $40 million, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that exchange.
I'm paid a salary to run the parks, and then the foundation's paying me more money. It doesn't look right.